Hello, hello everybody, and look, I'm back with a brand new tutorial. Yep, today is tutorial day, and I'm gonna show you how to build custom trees in Minecraft. To be more specific, custom palm trees. Yeah, and the idea here is to be really realistic. So, I'm gonna draw inspiration from tree models, palm trees, whatever, that actually exist and are real. And in today's build, we're gonna start with a variety called Foxtail Palm. I don't want to be the boring botany teacher here, so let's keep it simple. This palm tree has a really cool feature, which is the proportion of the leaves. They're pretty big compared to the total height. That makes it a really ornamental plant. Here's a photo of it next to me, just so you can get the reference. Now we need to talk about the structure of this palm tree. Notice that the trunk is pretty straight, it hardly grows all twisted, and when there's any twist, it's because the plant is trying to escape from a shaded area and get to the sun. Another important point is the height of the trunk. This plant has a maximum height of 10 meters, and now our math buddy is gonna show up. If we want to keep the plant in a 1-to-1 scale in Minecraft, it can't exceed 10 blocks in height. Remembering that each block is 1 meter. But we're gonna play around with scales a bit and make this tree on a scale of 2 blocks per meter. So it's like if here in Minecraft we're only 1 meter tall. The same height as these 2 blocks next to me, and the same height as B-dubs. Well, enough chit chat and time to start this build. Let's just take a quick look at the material list and ready to go. Let's start with the trunk. I think that's a pretty obvious step. The first layer is gonna be a kind of diamond shape, and I'm gonna give the trunk a lot of texture. I'll use tough blocks, acacia wood, stripped spruce, and light grey terracotta. This whole crazy mix is gonna help give the trunk a mix of greenish brown, and grey taste, which is more or less the color of the real palm tree we're using as an example. Notice that layer 2 repeats the first one, but in the third layer we start closing the diamond. That's gonna add variation to the shape of the trunk, and it's gonna be really useful as an aesthetic effect. We just can't distort the trunk too much, otherwise it'll stray from reality. The fourth layer simplifies things, it's just a rectangle. The same goes for the fifth and next layer. Now on the seventh layer, the shape changes again. It's like the palm tree trunk is gradually tapering off, in an irregular way. Remember our scale, if we're on the 7th layer, that's equivalent to a palm tree about 3.5 meters tall. The 8th layer becomes a simple square, just like the 9th, and next ones, no difficulty at all in this part, dudes. Only on layer 12, we'll start to tilt our palm tree a bit. Let's not overdo it, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. The foxtail palm isn't a species that leans much, so it'll just be a slight modification to the trunk, as if it's reaching out from a shaded area. Layer 13 follows suit, and on layer 14, we're back to our good old square. Here, it's worth noting that we're already at 7 meters of trunk, almost the tree's maximum height. On layer 15 we continue tilting the trunk to the side, and we go back to the square on layers 16 and 17. Let's move on to layer 18 now. Of course, you can make several variations along the trunk. You don't have to copy me 100% the same. Here, it's more important to grasp the concept of the build than simply doing a copy and paste. Layer 19 follows the trunk's tilt, and let's head to 20 and 21. We're gonna exceed the height of 10 meters a bit, but not too much. Our Foxtail Palm is on steroids. Layers 22, 23, and 24 are preparatory to serve as the base for the leaves, and we'll start putting them on soon. Well, this is the final result of the trunk, nicely textured and slightly tilted. Let's move on to the leaves. About the foliage part, there's not much to say. It's really a trial and error thing, and more errors than hits. The tip is to start with the lower leaves. And in this case, the first leaves should be on the side where the trunk leans more, for a logical reason. After all, the leaf placement needs to follow the trunk's tilt. I'll speed up the video a bit to not make this step too boring. Not that it'll make it much better, this part is really tedious. After you've put down the base of the leaf, the idea is to start making semicircles with the blocks, precisely to mimic the characteristic design of palm leaves, especially when we're talking about the foxtail palm, which has this very defined pattern, even more than other species in the genre. Once you finish the first leaf, you basically need to repeat the process and gradually fill in the empty areas until everything looks relatively harmonious. Plants aren't symmetrical and they don't always follow the same patterns, so feel free to create variations in the leaves and their placements. Remember, no tree is ever the same as another. Another way to increase this variability, so to speak, is to play with the texture of the leaves. The colors are always varying among the leaves of the same tree. Some are greener, some darker, some shinier. This will depend a lot on the age and position of the leaf and how much sunlight it gets. You can add these variations with the different foliage blocks in Minecraft. Here I used a blend that I found really interesting. You can see the combination and proportion in the materials list. And I simply alternate between these blocks. Feel free to create your own combinations. Plants that are more in the shade tend to have darker leaves. Use this tip to test some textures. Well, I think that's it. The video will keep rolling here so you can follow along step by step if you want to copy me. It's sped up by 2 times, so if you want to slow it down to half speed, it'll be real time. But my tip is always to understand the logic and try making your own leaves instead of copying. A friendly reminder, if you're too lazy to follow this tutorial step by step to build this tree, I'll make the download available for this one and 2 other variants of foxtail palms on my Patreon. What? You didn't know I had a Patreon? Well, I didn't before. But from now on I will, and I'll start making some builds available for download there. I'll leave the link somewhere in the description or comments if you want to check it out. Drop by, and if you want to support, become a member. Don't have the cash to support? No problem. Just drop a like on this video then, that's free, and it'll already be a huge help to help the channel grow. And with the channel growing, I'll be able to make more videos. Well, I'm talking too much here, let's get back to the build before you take that like off this video. Well, we're almost done. Modesty aside, I think the leaf arrangement turned out great, and in the end, we have a beautiful palm tree. It's a quite labor-intensive build, but simple in terms of materials and resources, and it will add a special touch to your survival world, server, or whatever. In addition to this foxtail we built together, I made 2 more, using basically the same trunk and foliage concept. When we combine them all side by side, the result is fantastic. But that's all, dudes. Hope you liked the video, and if you did, drop that like to support the channel. Until next time, keep grooving, and bye bye.